Vande Mataram. A very good evening to one and all present here. On behalf of Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Sant Hirdaram Girls College, Bhopal, I, Professor Madhu Singh from Department of Computer Science, welcome you all the dignitaries, guests, faculty members, research scholars to the Faculty Development Program on exploring dynamics of National Education Policy 2020 with reference to NAAC perspectives in association with Research Foundation of India. We are thankful to World Virtual Conference Forum, JHERF, World Federation of Science and Technology, International Research Guide Federation, Academic Research Guide Association for their valuable inputs, guidance, and association with us. This FDP is on 7 chapters of NAAC criteria. Today, we are taking Criterion 4 on infrastructure and learning resources of NAAC. The importance of this criteria is to fulfill the changing demand of modern academic era and to promote the effective teaching learning process. College has always given emphasis on the creation and upgradation of infrastructures. Infrastructure and learning resources play an important role in facilitating teaching learning process. To know more about Criterion 4, that is infrastructure and learning resources, we have our today's keynote speaker of section is respected Dr. Murali Krishnan TR. We heartily welcome you, sir, on behalf of IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Sant Hirdaram Girls College, Bhopal. It's my proud privilege to introduce our today's keynote speaker is Dr. Murali Krishnan TR, Professor, Department of English, Sri Shankaracharya University of Sanskrit Kaladi, Ernakulam, Kerala. His area of specialization are ELT, Applied Linguistics, Literary Theory, Theatre and Drama. He has 27 years of teaching and 12 years of research experience. He is successfully completed minor research project supported by the UGC titled Narratives on Indian Women. He received the ELTP REPS Award of British Council. He is formerly Managing Editor and Publisher, Journal of Teaching and Research in English Literature, ELTI Literature, Special Interest Group. He has a membership of Dravidian Linguistics Association, ELTI Chennai, University of Kerala, Alumni Association. He organized 4 national state-level seminars. He is a member of editorial reviewer panel in 4 national and international journals, Board of Studies, English, University of Calicut, formerly member, PG Board of Studies, MG University. He presented 31 papers and 25 international national citations. He is NAAC IQAC coordinator of the institution for 11 years and coordinated 2 cycles of accreditation. He is evaluator of PhD thesis. He published 15 articles and books, edited volumes, 25 articles in journals, 9 articles in e-journal, 8 articles in seminar conference proceedings, 4 abstract proceedings, 4 book published, and 3 popular articles. It's our proud privilege to have you with us today, sir. Now I cordially invite sir for taking the session with your valuable talk. Over to you, sir. Respected sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Am I audible there?
Yes, sir, very much.
Am I visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, I should say that I take this opportunity to congratulate the IQAC of Sant Hirdaram Girls College, Bhopal, and of course, the partner of this program, Research Foundation of India. And I also convey my regards to Dr. Ajay Jain, who had actually intimated me about this particular program. And let me also thank all the organizers of this particular program and I wish all the members of the this particular participants of this program, faculty development program. Now, I consider this as a wonderful opportunity because it's the eve of one of the most, I should say, historical event as far as our nation is concerned, 75th independence, anniversary of that tomorrow. And I'm speaking to you on the eve of this particular occasion. And I'm reminded of particular beautiful statement that Jawaharlal Nehru has written probably almost in the same time, 75 years back. He wrote about that particular thing, long years ago. We made a tryst with destiny. And now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. So, thank you. I consider myself fortunate to have addressed you in this particular. So, I wish you all on this occasion, just like being a humble citizen of India, a very best, considering the situation, the occasion that the country is now celebrating. Now, moving on to the topic, I have to make one thing very clear to the organizers. There are only 4 things that I would like to communicate. And if I share some screen, I have only 2-3 slides. And I'm sure you will be disappointed because if I go through slides one after the other, it will be repetitive because this particular topic has only 4 major pivotal points. Only 4 major pivotal points. And again, when you look into the scores that we get compared to like other scores, the teaching, learning, evaluation, or research. Now, as far as this particular topic is concerned, infrastructure and learning resources is concerned, it's only 100. And it is consistently 100 even for an affiliated college and even up to a research university. When you look into the NAAC criteria, if you look into the number of points that are awarded based on each grade, you will see that it is just 100. But 100 is crucial because there are 2 factors, as you all know, as you're all familiar with. I'm sure you have been introduced to that. That is, we take into consideration 2 factors, that is the qualitative as well as the quantitative metrics. So based on that, I'm going to discuss a few points and I won't take much of a time, and I would prefer to have a discussion with the faculty members on the points that I'm going to deliberate, and after that you can raise your questions. Now, the first thing that the idea of what are learning resources. Please note that accredited institutes need to show evidence of what? Continued improvement and apply for reaccreditation. So it's a matter of continuous improvement. And every 5 years, we are trying our best to improve. And because the bar is raised every time. Say in 2015, you must have been at a particular point. In 2020, it is beyond that, like in the sense, after 5 years, you have to achieve more than what you have already achieved. And by 25, again, you have to set another benchmark so that you need to cross over that also. So every time you have to push the threshold, which is very difficult. But again, it is very challenging also. So what we have to do regarding these challenges faced based on this particular segment called infrastructure and learning resources, that is what I am trying to discuss today. So please note, I do not represent NAAC. I only speak from my own experiences, my own regular updation based on whatever material that I get, whatever things that I do in the IQAC of the college or in the university. So what I try to share here with you are basically things that I generally do. So last August, I have done the same kind of a thing with Search Foundation of India. Same topic. But the thing is, as I have told you, things have changed a bit in the sense from 2017 to 22, it was 5-year term for a particular segment, what we call as a period of a particular criteria. And now, starting from 2022, NAAC has come up with something new. And we all know every 5 years, they used to update themselves. So from 2022, we are facing a new set of parameters, not a complete or a drastic change as we witnessed in 2017, but at least to some extent, we need to be aware of the trends. And in between comes, as the welcome speaker has correctly pointed out, this has to go in tandem with the NEP of 2020. So based on this, we need to find out ways in which how the institution can serve, how the institution can update, how it can survive. Very important in the days to come. And that depends on how you collaborate with other agencies, how you improve the facilities with the college, how far you are good at producing intellectual wealth. Very important. Not just resources which are tangible, but there are so many things which are intangible, and we need to be aware of that. So my question begins from the fundamental aspects that they have already referred to in the criteria. Basically, we all know there are 4 things. That's what I said. I don't want to share anything like a slide because there are only 4 things. First one, we all know it is about physical facilities. We call it as 4.1. In 4.2, we have a criteria called library as a learning resource. And in 4.3, it is IT infrastructure. And the last part is maintenance of campus infrastructure. So there are 4 things: physical facilities, library, IT infrastructure, campus infrastructure, maintenance. Now, how do we go about these points? Based on 2 things, that is qualitative as well as quantitative. Now, regarding the extensive writing that we had during the 90s and the 2000s, up to around 2010 or 2012, now we have this practice of writing extensively on questions. Now, it's not like that. We all know. There are only certain things that we need to address, maybe around 300 or 400 words on certain things. Regarding infrastructure, we know when we look into the qualitative metrics, for example, now this idea of whether the institution has adequate infrastructure and physical facilities for teaching learning, say for example classrooms, laboratories, computing equipment, etc. Now that is the general, I should say, when you look into the qualitative metrics, this is what we have to write in detail. And I'm sure in these days there is no worry regarding regarding how to present yourself, say regarding the infrastructure that you have. I have just seen some of the photographs regarding your college. Of course, quite impressive. Now the question is, does it cater to the number of students there? How many number of students do get the benefit of that? Now, so when we say adequate infrastructure and physical facilities for teaching learning, it is necessary that how far your college become what? Regarding teaching learning and evaluation, say especially you have already had the session last day, teaching learning process, are the classrooms really invested with the latest technology? Now, do they have the facility for what we call as sharing of materials, what we call as the support of the ICT? Or are the teachers competent enough to take classes like that? Or has the management or the government funded enough to make that particular say each and every class like that? That is question number one. And look at the laboratories. Now, how far has the college augmented, improved their the resources as far as the laboratory is concerned, the computing facilities. Now, regarding computer hardware, now there are so many questions coming up in the days to come, especially with the arrival of cloud computing. Now, the size is not a matter of the physical size, but the kind of what we call as the cloud space that you have, that has become more and more relevant. So what will happen is maybe the so-called the big desktop computers might become outdated after 10 years. The tablets, the mobile phones, they become relevant in a matter of 5 years. It has already proven that over the last 2 years, in the days of Corona, the students were smart, even doubly smarter than the teachers. So what has happened? The perceptions have changed. Even the smartest teacher who used to give lectures, now they have become outdated. The youngest in the department who knew how to share the screen, how to produce materials, how to find out the correct appropriate link based on various international libraries, they have become smartest, and they have become suddenly the popular teacher in the department. So that is why I said institution has to identify ways of improving the infrastructure in tandem with the requirement of the time. So it is not the size that is every time important, but the quality of what we call as delivery systems. The quality of that is very important. Now, how far do you effectively deliver the content and how far they manage the data, how far they process the information, how far do they develop knowledge? So data, information, and knowledge. Now, how do they come up with something original about it? And as you all know, in most of the institutions now, they have what we call as this innovation council going on. So that innovative practices evolved in the institution, and how far the institution has brought up a kind of the state-of-the-art technology and infrastructure to bring in innovation in the college is the most important thing, rather than what you call as building a big IT lab or maybe a lab, so that because things have changed, are changing fast. So what we have to do is we have to adapt and find out ways of coping up with the new trends and keep ahead of the other institutions regarding the ways of practicing new methods by which the students will feel that this is what is the reason. This is what reason as far as a particular topic or the subject is concerned. So that's what I said. In QLM, the question of adequate infrastructure and physical facilities regarding lab, regarding classrooms, regarding computers. I'm sorry. What we require here is not just the big framework, but what we require is the intelligent use of the space and the effective delivery of those. So this you have to, I'm not advocating or I'm not prescribing anything. Please don't take that in that particular sense. But what we have to identify is you have to come up with something innovative regarding these, and these should be reported when you prepare your AQAR or when you submit your SSR. Document through when it is documented through the annual quality assurance report or the IDF SSR when those drafts are prepared. So thinking should go at one level, applying those ideas into the college level, making it realistic, fixing them in the right context, taking photographs, and then reporting that to the higher authorities or NAAC. Now this cycle should go every time, and this should be achieved on an yearly basis. So it's always a race. I know when in a globalized world, in a commercialized world, this race is always there, keeping oneself updated. Second part regarding the QLM, as you all know, is the facilities related to what? Sports, games, gymnasium, yoga center. I needn't elaborate on all that. Whatever I have spoken about the academic facilities required, these things which are part of the extracurricular work should also be there. And again, as I have told you, when investment is made, investment should be made for the sake of those what we call as updation, keeping in mind those updation which are or which might be required in a matter of 5 to 10 years. And again, documenting these, bringing the latest. Now, these things have to be done. Programs for that. There shouldn't be any chance by which a particular lab, for example, a language lab, or maybe a particular center that you have mooted, it should not be kept idle for a long period of time. Make sure that it is constantly updated. Make sure that you have students visiting there. Keep a record of those, and it should be monitored in such a way by which the anyone who uses the document will feel that it is a valid document. It is an original, authentic document, because the given college has used the facilities to its maximum, rather than restricting it to maybe a matter of few months. No. Generally, what I have found being an English teacher, what I have found is language lab in many conditions, in many situations, they have become redundant because the softwares are not updated and students will never see what is except for a few systems or computers. I'm not criticizing anyone. This is something that we have seen in my state on a regular basis. So whenever you move to a particular facility, make sure it is being used continuously. And the most important, along with QLM, is I need to emphasize on library. That is this integrated library management system. And it's a big section as far as I told you, it is in 4.2 when you look into that, library as a learning resource. Library, the concept of library, last year I have addressed the same, maybe not the same audience, but I have told you the concept of library has changed over a period of time. It is not just a matter of going and taking books and coming back. No, it has become a resource center for the sake of not just students and teachers, even for the community. The community wherein which this college is situated, it is a resource center. It is not just a matter of keeping certain books or buying or purchasing books for the sake of students. You all know the students can get access to, and the teachers do have access to, many of the books online nowadays. So you might think that, sir, library has become redundant. Yes, if you see library only as a matter of stack of books, well, it can become redundant. So how to make use of an optimum use of library? And again, what are the innovative practices that we can identify within the library? It is not just a matter of books. And I've been telling this because I know personally an idea called, it is not just a matter of books every time. You need to identify even people, learned people, even traditional people, where they function as books. People become books, wherein which they are invited to the library, they talk to people. It is something like an open book kind of a session, wherein which they could be rural doctors, they could be agriculturists, they could be people who work in the forest, it could be a fisherman. Any people from any job category, they have certain knowledge systems which are not part of the syllabus. And many of the present day libraries, believe me, they are actually documenting those. I'll tell you from my own experience, because my relative who happened to visit a particular library in America, US, in the US. Now he was actually visiting that particular museum. It is not library; it is a big museum. When he went to that particular museum, there is this big Nadaraja, what we call as this Shiva statue there, the dancing Shiva statue. And he's a Sanskrit scholar. My friend is a Sanskrit scholar, and he went through that, and he was asked by the person who curates, who helps or maybe a guide in that particular museum. He was asked, like, do you have anything to say on this? And he said he has a lot of things to say about that particular dancing Shiva, the concept of dancing Shiva. Being interested, you will be surprised to know within a matter of the 15 minutes, the visitor became a resource person, and the curator and the museum officials invited all the research scholars to assemble in a particular hall, and within a matter of 15 to 20 minutes, there was a session on dancing Shiva by the visitor. And the entire thing was recorded. Please note, it was recorded, it was documented. So you don't know, like that's what I said. Each and every information, especially human, we call it as the concept of human library. So please note the idea of library as a section in which you have maybe 20,000 or 1 lakh books or 1.5 lakh books. Fine, good. It is all well documented. People are happy to visit, but are the do you find the common man in the town or in the city or in the school? Are they getting the facility of such a big library in the vicinity, or maybe in your college, to use it, maybe to do the reference within that? If they don't have access, what is the point? So it should be open for the common man also. Then only they will come to know that the library is nice. And that's what I said. It requires what? Not just the conventional thought, but it should have a feeling of integrating, bringing in all sorts of vision into the development of the idea of library. So this is what I would like to suggest like that. And when you look into the QLM related to the IT facilities which are necessary, you will see that you will see that we all know, like Wi-Fi it's almost common nowadays, Wi-Fi facility within the campus. But are we enabling the students to use Wi-Fi in the most effective way, especially in terms of doing surveys, especially in doing what we call as getting feedback, or maybe entry level and exit level feedback of the courses that you run, the short-term courses that they want, etc. It is not enough that you give announcement of timetables and examinations. If you use connectivity, you can bring in lots of ideas related to using that particular IT network or infrastructure to make students involved in the teaching learning process, in the evaluation process, and also when you have the idea of getting feedback, so that it is easy to prepare a Google form, circulate among students, get their responses, make sure that they are also getting they are also involved in the what we call as preparation of that particular college to the plan that you have created, to the vision and mission of the college. So you can use IT facilities not just for the sake of teaching computer science, or maybe teaching electronics, maybe not just bioinformatics or biotechnology. It can also be used for other purposes, other segments. And please note the SOP. The SOP that is generally attached with the QLM and QNM, especially when we report that, it is clearly indicated that the number of computers that are used by the faculty and the number of computers used by the office, they are not to be taken for counting, or they are not counted at all, because that is now taken as a common thing. Whereas if you look at the NAAC manual 20 years back, there was nothing like an SOP there. Even then we calculated the total number of computers at the quantitative level by pooling all the resources. which are present. So gone are those days where we have a feeling that the total number of computers do represent, sorry, the total number of computers do represent the quality of the institution. No, it has changed. And as I said, all these are important when you report at the QLN level. Whereas when you look into the QNM, very important, I have told you about SOP there also. It is important to identify the number of classrooms and seminar halls with what? ICT enabled facilities. And again, it also talks about expenditure. Expenditure including what? Or rather excluding salary of the infrastructure augmentation. So when you look into the expenditure, for example, the SOP related to that, we will see that it has to be certified, especially in a private funded higher education institution. It has to be certified by the qualified chartered accountant. So these things are also important when you look into the quantitative metrics. And in that particular section, it talks about e-journals, e-books, databases, etc. Now, these are all matter of counting things. It is not just a matter of what getting what ideas related to the number of things that you have in the campus. More than that, what is required here is the use of these facilities by teachers, students, and stakeholders. And as you all know, in library, for example, we have footfalls and login data. And in computers, I have told you, it is a matter of student to computer ratio that we generally, so how many students, how many computers, and the bandwidth of internet connection. Now, all these are taken into consideration. So what is important then, as far as I'm concerned, is to identify in these 4 levels. I told you, let me recall that: physical facilities, library, IT infrastructure, and maintenance of campus infrastructure. Now, when you look into these aspects, please note what we have to identify here is to get into the concept of best practices. It's not easy to identify best practices in infrastructure and learning resources every time, because the practices which you considered best and which you considered authentic, innovative, and quite something original, after 5 years, it has to be changed into something new. Now, that is the greatest challenge that you find. Say, 10 years back, you will have a model which was successful, which you must have considered good for maybe for the last 10 years or maybe 5 years. But after that, once it is become normal, once it becomes part of the system, once it has been integrated, once it has been adopted by or adapted by other institutions and colleges. Now, the challenge for you is to identify another practices which are not used or practiced by the other institutions. So therein lies the challenge of IQAC. So the IQAC of the college is not, many believe that IQAC is a repository of all documents. No. Please don't consider IQAC as a repository of course, it is the role assigned by the institution head or the committee. Fine, good. No doubt about that. But IQAC has some other very important things to do. One very important aspect is to come up with creative suggestions. Come up with, and again, for that matter, this challenge of brainstorming should not be restricted to the committee. It should come down to the level of the students to identify what all things that we can do to bring in as a new practice. You needn't look into other colleges because college A and college B will be inherently different. No question of comparison. So what you require is you have to find out your own strength to come up with something original, And you have to try and what we call as a trial and error method. Try if it is possible. If it is working, make it as a detailed plan, and within a matter of 6 months, the IQAC can move it so that next year it becomes part of the annual plan. It is there. Don't think that it is not going to happen. I know, because I have worked for 11 years in colleges where this has happened not just once, many times. And we are happy because the students in the college, I should say, the ideas will come not from the teachers every time. The ideas will come from the students. They will have better options because they are free. We may be restricted because of so many constraints and conditions, but they have so many things to say about how to manage or how to come up with these things. Regarding physical facilities, I know students coming up with good ideas related to the use of sports infrastructure. I have more than I should say one or two I can report, because students in my college connected the SUPW activity along with the activity of the sports, along with the village sports program, which no college at that time did effectively, so that the students years took the same kind of parameters of conducting sports, went to the panchayat, got sanction, it was implemented in the college. Like that, sometimes when students volunteer, you will have lots of, so that the infrastructure of the college ground facilities there was used by the local sports authority and the district sports authority. They came and they did a lot of work there. So why I am suggesting this, because when you look into these 4 aspects, again, during the 2010, 2012, computer literacy was a major challenge. Not now, but those days it was a major challenge for many, especially common people. So it was the computer science department of our institution who again went to the panchayat, started programs for common man, and I will tell you, interestingly, they help people to document things in DigiLocker. So their entire valid documents are now part of that, because they never knew that such a facility is possible. So you can make use of your facilities. You can connect that with the society or community, and then come up with innovative practices. So please note, what is important from the perspective of the common thing is, from the common man, is how far the college has contributed to the maintenance of what I should say for the betterment of their living standards, or understanding the changes that are happening in the world. So some of the things that I would like to now, based on these 4 points, I'll stop for the time being. I would certainly invite responses and reactions, and then we will move on to the next level. So you can ask me questions. FDP doesn't mean the speaker will speak for 1 hour and then everything is over. No. I think that it is always good to have an interaction, so that I'll come to know what happened at your level of, so that I can learn from you. I'll get insights from the practices that you can.
I request the participants to come forward for your queries.
Thank you, sir, for
Am I audible there?
Yes, sir. Madhu ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
No,
ma'am.
it is
Sir, I
not
was
over.
asking,
Wait. Don't jump into the feeling that I have stopped. No. I just want to interact. That's all.
Sir, I was there to ask a question because you wanted to interact. So what you have
Please
told
ask me questions.
Yes. Yeah. So you were telling that there should be quality improvement in even in infrastructural practices or best practices that we can include over there. But I need to ask, like, what will be the benchmarking? How will NAAC assess that? What kind of benchmarks will be set? For example, you said that we can link to access international libraries for the students and the faculties. We can create cloud space because we have to look forward for the human resource and the resources required after 5 years. The planning should be a long-term planning, a broader goal, a broader vision. But as per the accreditation and assessment, what will be the benchmarking in those domains?
Now, that will depend on the tradition that you have over the last few period of time. Like, for example, what were you doing in 2016 or what will you do in 2021 for the last 5 years? So you must have already set a particular criteria. And so NAAC doesn't have something like a closed mind over there, because they have to see our nation not just with one perception, but they know that each and every state will have their own kind of what we call as strength and weakness. So the benchmarking is something at, say, a certain levels different from one with that of the other, because a particular reputed college in Delhi, for example, New Delhi, and an interior college in Guwahati cannot be compared. Cannot be compared. So when you expect that there is a benchmarking that is going on, or when you believe that it is set, now it depends on, it will be rationalized through a particular procedure by which they will find out whether the given practices are relevant to the context in which the given institution has been set. It cannot be compared with other geographical locations or developed locations as such. Again, if you think of national or international standards, yes, it is. It's a very valid question. But the thing is, previously, what was the say, for example, if you have set an international level standard for your biotechnology lab, or if it has a particular kind of an ISO or something, make sure it has been consistently maintained over the last 5 years, so that next time in 2025 or 26, if you are moving for the next level, make sure it has retained, achieved. So there is nothing like one particular set standard for every time. It keeps itself changing, and there is nothing like one standard throughout the nation.
Thank you, sir.
I think the participants can also throw a light on the kind of best practices that they followed regarding infrastructure. If they want to share maybe 2-3 minutes of their practices, it will be useful for others. Just one practice, so that we can find out what makes that particular practice relevant in the context in which the college has been set. Professor Madhu Singh, don't you think my question is valid?
Yes, sir. For giving their question.
So making the campus a polythene-free zone.
Pardon, I couldn't get the question completely.
So making the campus polythene-free zone.
Politics free.
Polythene.
You mean without? Pardon? Politics?
Polythene free, sir. Plastic free.
Oh, plastic free. I was wondering because I come from a state we have too much of politics within the campus. So I was wondering where are you talking about? Okay. Okay. Plastic free. We can make it like that. Plastic free. Yeah, that is. I have. You say I was thinking about that. Like when I spoke about, say, especially the fourth criteria, maintenance of the campus. It is a big challenge for almost all the students, but that depends on the way that the college has evolved a particular ethical practice regarding the use of plastics and the alternatives that they propose, which are very strong, I should say. And again, the way that they remove these things from the campus, that's also there. For example, the institution where I worked earlier, we had an MOU with one of the agencies which is located in Hyderabad. So they took all the e-waste, for example. They took all the e-waste from the campus, including computers of 1990s or 2010, etc. They took almost everything from the campus. So what we had is, interestingly, you will get money out of that. They will pay you for the kind of and we also arranged a program. I told you the best thing about the institution is to have a tie-up with the society. So what we did is we went on almost all the local panchayat houses, and we also asked for, maybe the houses may not have computers, but they have mobile phones, old radios, and other systems. So we collected. It was a big moment for around 1 week during January, when the event. So we collected almost that. It came to around 3 tons of materials. 3 tons. And it was taken to Hyderabad by this particular agency, and we were paid money for that. We were given money for that, actually. So actually it became a part of revenue generation. Our students did nothing. They went around campus. They went around the villages. We allotted them, each department were given a particular location. They went there, collected them, and it was all pooled and it was taken by the agency. If such practices can be identified, it becomes a green practice. And we all know, like it's a civilized these days, how to find out possibilities to find alternatives regarding the use of plastics. So it is possible, ma'am. I think it's only a matter of preparing a document, a vision document regarding how to manage materials, especially such plastic materials, where it's possible to find out how to be environmentally or ecologically sustainable as well as the. Thank you for the question.
Good evening, sir. I just want to add one thing here, that our college campus is already declared as a polythene-free zone. It's declared by the BU University that your campus is polythene-free zone, and we are awarded as a Green Campus Award also by Collectorate Office. It's an
Wonderful, wonderful.
documents.
So
also
you can
for
share the way that you have evolved a particular strategy that over the last 1 year, 2 years.
Sir, I have one query also. I just want your suggestion that can we put a board of polythene-free zone in our campus, that this campus is polythene-free zone. It's mentioned. board
Yeah,
type?
it is there.
Because we have a
Yeah.
document, but
Yeah,
if
the
we
problem is-
enter in a college campus, you see that board, it looks good, and it shows that, yeah, it's an polythene-free zone campus.
Yes, ma'am, it is there. Now the thing is, will these like publicity materials can help you to help your students to be aware? That's the first thing, because generally when you put a signpost, people may not even read it properly. So the problem is that of visibility, not just physical visibility, the idea of acceptance, because they think that there are so many boards, so many things are given as, since I come from the department, like those who have read George Orwell's book, like the animals will see a list of things that are to be done. And okay, 2 legs good, or maybe 2 legs bad, or 4 legs good, like that, like they will read so many things on the board. But what is important here is not just the publicity that is given. What is important is even classrooms should be part of that. In Kerala, what they have done is, even in syllabus, I think in your syllabus also it must have been there, especially in humanities and English, and in such subjects, like common courses. Now, even there is a module related to environment these days. So actually, the spirit of eco-consciousness, or what we call as the idea of what all things that can pollute our environment, become part of their steps. They really read, say for example, Rachel Carson's book. And they come to know about what happens with the earth, or what are the factors that pollute our earth, what are the problems, that health issues that the people are having. Now this becomes part of their learning activity, discussion in the classroom, discussion at various forums in the college. So naturally, there is nothing like feeling imposed on them. It becomes part of their culture. Slowly and slowly, the message can reach home. So that is how it should happen. Like how they can be discouraged to say, for example, like the idea related to smoking, the idea related to like prohibition of drinking, etc. You all know, it is not a matter of lack of knowledge. It is a matter of just what we call as acceptance, cultural acceptance. That is what is more important. Like rather than prescribing things, let them evolve through themselves. Yes, thank you for the question and your responses also.
Good evening, sir. This is Shazia Khan from Sant Hirdaram Girls College. I just wanted to ask that under NSH, we have donated
Any
computers.
other question that you would like to ask?
Yes, sir. Am I audible, Madhuma?
Yes, ma'am.
Akansha Yadav,
ma'am.
yes.
Okay. Sir, this is Shazia Khan
Yeah,
from Sant
please.
Hirdaram Girls College. I just wanted to ask that, sir, under National Service Scheme Unit, we have donated computers and ceiling fans.
Yeah, of course. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So would that be considered as best practice or innovative practice as contribution of infrastructure in the nearby locality?
Now, you have achieved part of the requirement. I'm sure of that. So when you donate computers, it is also to be made sure that they use it properly. So whether have you given training to the teachers there, especially up to the advanced level, that is also a very important question. It is not enough that you provide them with a tool. You should also make sure that, now I'm only suggesting, don't think that I'm prescribing. If you provide them with adequate resources, as well as in terms of nuts, not just the hardware, but also the way in which training during the vacation or something. In that case, it becomes a really good practice. Donation and giving, it becomes, people might think that it is only a charity kind of a thing. Good, you have done it, fine. Maybe you have the bill and other things, all the statements. But more than that, what is important here is to empower them through, especially through training. So that is why I would say the 50% is over. The next 50 is to give them training.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir. Akanksha Yadav.
Yes,
Yeah, please continue.
Hello, sir. I'm Akanksha Yadav from Sant Hirdaram Girls College. I am from science background, so I want to ask that the water which has been treated in the labs of the like the chemistry department, the biotech department, and the other department of the science thing, that could, like, we can assemble the water treatment plant in our institution so that it will come under the best practices or innovative practices.
Yeah, that has been done. I know a few institutions in my area, in my state, where they do two things. First one, water treatment, as you said, but maybe it requires some kind of an investment also. There is another thing. I don't know what is happening in your state. If you have rain, for example, rainwater harvesting is also a nice option. And I know that in my state, since sometimes the rains are too heavy, I know, maybe you have read that in the newspapers, but still, we have, most of the colleges have this rainwater harvesting units. So they use that water, they store that water, make use of that water for the purpose of laboratory and other things, especially biology and chemistry. So that can be done as a very good practice. And when this was reported to NAAC, they said it's a very good practice, especially when we have a surplus rain. We needn't waste our water like that. So that is one possibility. Again, water treatment, if you can do it scientifically, if you can do it with what we call as the real support of the management of the government there, well, it's a very nice option.
We can do that, like we can actually motivate students to make a carbon based resins that actually help in the water treatment. So it is easy to make a carbon based resins in the lab itself, so that can be used for the chlorine and fluorine removal basically. So we can do that.
Yeah, no, that
Thank
can
you so much, sir.
no doubt about it. That's it's a very nice suggestion, and it can be documented also.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Vande Mataram, sir. As I'm from the Department of Computer Science, you have told that we have to maintain the e-waste management in our college. So as from the Department of Computer Science, we are maintaining that e-waste management. We are collecting the e-waste from the students as well as from the different departments, and submitting to the Pollution Control Board. And they provide us certificate also for that, sir. And we are also organizing the e-waste awareness programs also. Sir, I just want any new innovations or best practices that we can follow in our Department of Computer Science. You can suggest us so that we can proceed in our upcoming session also.
Now you have focused on e-waste management, so you can report that, and it can be used in the last criteria also, the 7th criteria.
Yes.
No doubt
Yes,
about it. Best practices.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So at the department level, the same information can be used when the actual peer team visit comes. You can use the same information at 3 levels. At this level, and again at the best practices level, and the department level also. Now, regarding the ways in which you can say, for example, if you can prepare softwares for the local community, for example, for their learning activities. Say, for example, in Kerala, what we have done is we have given them sessions during 2016 to 19. many colleges, especially computer science and commerce department, what they have done is many people, they don't have the access or maybe the technique of using mobile phones, especially old age. I'm talking about people around 40 plus or 50 plus or 60 plus. So they really found it difficult to use the computers or maybe their own mobile phones for the sake of transactions related to banks. They don't know how to download, they don't know how to make use of that particular software to exchange money, etc. So they went to the villages, took these snapshots. They made use of the support of the bank staff also. So they did a kind of a progressive or rather an aggressive kind of a propaganda regarding the use of softwares, especially in smartphones, by which it became so popular. I need to tell you that, and this is reported to the NAAC also. So you can help. The commerce department as well as the computer science department can take these things, especially the new technology, to the students, to the community, because the community is a great support. Because the image, the branding of the college depends on how the community perceives you. So the public perception is very important in NIRF. It is also important for NAAC and student feedback. So what I would suggest is, if you want to take into confidence the common man in the street, you should arrange programs for the sake of making them relevant, especially in scientific terms, what is happening. If you publish an article in a particular computer science journal, nobody will know. Of course, it is good for your PBAS, I know. But more than that, if you connect yourself with the community regarding various social services, it will take you to a higher level, or a broad level, I should say, a broader level, by which you can get a lot of positive feedback from the common man, rather than being a kind of an isolated department. You can have, and again, community radio is possible. I have seen many computer science department running small community radio by providing news, and that of course requires license and it requires the support of the government, but still it is possible. So you can think of so many innovative programs for the sake of the common man as well as for the students also. For students, of course, you have your own curriculum, your own university, your own tie-up with Indian Institute of Technology, etc., or National Institute of Technology, where in which, because of the student exchange and the constant contact with many technological institutes, of course, academically you can go, no problem. The students will be benefited. There can be expert lectures. So those are academic things. I'm talking about using your infrastructure for the sake of the betterment of the institution and betterment of the brand called your institution. The image building of the institution is very important these days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Any more queries?
Yeah.
Sir, I want to add to this. The Department of Biotechnology of Sant Hirdaram Girls College, we organize trainings for the students of other colleges as well. So should we include that also in that our infrastructure and laboratories are providing benefits to the students of other colleges too? Should we include that part in this criteria for?
Yeah, say you can make use of the visit to the department for the local schools as well as +2 students. You can arrange that, and again you can bring in the community. You can give them a lecture on what we call as what COVID is all about. Maybe of course they all know that, but again, when you such issues come up, biotechnology department can do a lot of work there, and they can give a really, and I should say, a lot of information and inputs about, especially related to virology. A lot of things there, So there is always this, and again, you can also start. I'm sure the department must have done that with the approval of the local authorities. If you can get a sanction, you can start the testing of water in the department, the local panchayat, or maybe the government, municipality or corporation. I don't know from where you'll get that license, because I don't know the college, the location there. But if you get that license, your lab can become a destination for the common man to bring their water for identifying whether it is safe to drink or not. So that way you can connect with the community.
Okay, sir. Definitely we will do that. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So now you can proceed your session with your valuable talk.
Oh. Okay. So let me try to sum up with whatever I have said. Thank you for the nice observations and questions. That means a few things which you can really apply in the days to come. So when I say something here, from this point onwards, this should not be seen as a kind of prescription for what you should do in future, because there is nothing like prescription for all colleges or for all departments, because each department will have its own kind of infrastructure, its own kind of unique characteristic, its own strength, and of course weaknesses. Now, what they have to identify is they have certain role to play regarding the given subject that they are dealing with. See, if it's a commerce department, they have their own means of doing it. In 2016, the institution where I worked, they actually informed the audience, the common man in the street, about what demonetization is all about. What the work of the, so how should you go to the bank? What all things that you can do. So depending on the thing, and again, if it is possible, with the help of the local panchayat, after the budget session is over, the economics department of the college can conduct a budget review of what is happening with the national budget or state level budget. Now, this kind of things can be done only in connection with the society, so that common man will know what has happened, rather than, because many of the terms reported in the English newspaper or the local newspaper, they will only know two things. Certain prices have come down, and many, I should say, for many materials, the prices have gone up. They have only a very vague idea about what budgeting is all about. So it is necessary on the part of at that level, especially the economics department, they can do a lot of work there. So what your strength is, do accordingly, make use of that resources, and then from the perspective of, I'm sure a few English teachers can be there, or maybe people from Hindi or language departments can be there. They have their own kind of strength which they can make use of, so that they can be sometimes, the voice of the college, the voice of the institution there. They can do a lot of work there. So depending on the strength you play, don't try to, don't be under the impression that you can make use of all the facilities and everything that you do is part of NAAC. No. Many things that you do it naturally, you do it according to your plan, and then when there is a question, try to connect that with the question. Do a presentation first, and then find out how far this is relevant for NAAC, and connect intelligently. What I found in most of the institutions in my state is that they never bother about what NAAC has to be, or what all things that we need to do for impressing the NAAC peer team, or to be submitted for that. No. Many great institutions, they work in their own philosophy, and for the sake of presentation, they connect these things with the requirement of NAAC. So that is how it won't actually affect their annual plan also. So first thing that I would suggest is, when you start your academic year with say what we call as the plan, and find out for the next year what all facilities should be augmented, what can be the optimum level of use for these facilities, how far does the what we call as the expenditure or the income that is required for bringing in such a kind of an infrastructure, etc. Make a detailed plan, do a complete presentation before your say the stakeholders, including parents, maybe your friends, in the sense the college teachers, and let them pool and let them come up with ideas, and then you can have what we call as ultimately a sensible plan for the next 5 years. You can call it as an institutional development plan for 5 years, touching upon all major strength. And once you know that these are your area of strength, build on that, and then find out which are the areas that you can connect with criteria 1 to criteria 6, and where and which, if you are going to bringing in a new system related to physics lab or maybe chemistry lab or biotechnology, make use of that facility or the improvement of that facility for that. And we all know, for example, if you are bringing a lift within the, or maybe elevator in the campus, it can be easily be attached with what? The facility for like physically challenged, or what we call as the Divyangan, for example. Now you can easily connect that. So don't do things for the sake of NAAC. Do according to your requirement and connect it. That will be the best thing that you can do. It will automatically connect, because I know for the last 20 years, I think I should say most of the institutions in India are now familiar with the basic 7 criteria of NAAC. So they know, okay, if I do something related to this, it goes along with governance and leadership. If I do something related to this, it goes to teaching and learning. If I do something related to syllabus, it will go to curricular and curricular aspects, like that. So each and everything that you do can easily be connected and reported, and this becomes part of the either the QLN or QNM for that, so that it helps you to improve your what we call as the scope of accreditation. And remember, accreditation is something that is tangible. We all know, because more what is important is, by the time you get the accreditation, you know before yourself that the institution has already got some social recognition, and from there you will get a lot of students thinking about joining your institution. What is important for me as a teacher, I would say, what is important is getting the students to your campus. We have lots of colleges in India, but if you ask somebody, what are your plans after +2, they will say, I'll go to London, I'll go to some other state, I'll go to Germany. Or what is your plan after degree? They will say that I'll go to Germany, I'll go to France. The reason is, they think that it has become, the system in India has become more or less predictable. Now, what is the use of having a degree from here, from this? Now, for that, we have to make sure that we reach the level of the say, as far as our education is concerned, to the maximum, that is the international level as far as standards are concerned. At the same time, we should not be rather shy about addressing the questions of local needs. Let us know what the problems of the local societies. So what will happen is, you will get a complete picture of what kind of a society that you are dreaming about, who is going to be benefited of. So advise that there's no doubt this is the best alternative that you have. So what we call as for 50 seats, you can have more than 500 applications or 1,000 applications. that show that that is the merit of the institution. So make sure that will grow, or that can be grown into some. And again, please note, these days with ABCs, what we call as the academic bank of credit. Now, it is not necessary for one student to be get stuck to one particular institution. He can move horizontally to other levels also, because he has the choice. And we all know by 2030, only the best will remain. So make sure you don't have time. We have only 8 years there. So within 8 years, we should make sure that not just infrastructure, even all quality, I should say, all delivery systems should have quality, by which there should be faith among the common students that this institution can give me something for the betterment of my life. So things are changing too fast, especially with NEP around, NEP 2020. So there is not just competition, but there is this idea of survival. Or else what will happen is the institution can become a cultural, what we call as an institution. That is what, when you read NEP, you will see that thing. So, and to have this kind of a pressure coming up, for getting PhDs, for doing research, publication, and how far this can be focused to the development of the institution. That is the crucial point. So don't forget, we are not having that kind of a cozy feeling that, yeah, whatever I do, even if I don't work properly, you will get salary. No, those days are over now. From my own experience, I know that very well. So what I would suggest is, we are entering into a very, very delicate phase as far as profession is concerned. You cannot be happy with whatever you get. You have to have what we call as the idea that we are also into the race. So the institutional quality is very important, especially, and one of the factors we all know is infrastructure and resources, learning resources. So I'm not trying to frighten you, I'm only trying to share my the kind of anxiety that I have. Maybe after 8 years or 10 years, we don't know what kind of a picture that we have for as far as higher education is concerned. Things can change. Even a simple smartphone can make a student worthy enough to become a student in various institutions in India, and finally he can download all the certificates using his mobile phone. He needn't even go to a particular college physically as such. This can happen. Thank you.
Sir, there is one query in the chat box that in our college we have entrepreneurship cell and incubation center. So what best practices we should adopt for the students' enrichment? Can you suggest some of them so that we can follow these?
Yes.
So in our college, we have entrepreneurship cell and incubation center. So what best practices that we can incorporate in our college student for enrichment? Could you suggest some of them so that we follow in our cell?
Hello.
Yes, sir. I think some network issue is there, sir, is not audible.
Yeah. Just let me read that question again, because I didn't get that. I think there is some problem with the connectivity.
Yeah.
Am I audible the other side?
Yeah, sir. You're audible, sir. So you can read on the chat box also.
Best practices in
students enrichment in
best practices. I think there is some problem in connectivity. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Uh-uh. Students enrichment. Now, I don't know who has posted that question. Best practices we have adopted for student enrichment. Now, what do we understand by that? Which area are you referring to? Okay. E-cell and incubation center. Fine. Now, incubation, it requires a lot of research. I'll tell you, not easy. Because when you talk about incubation, the idea should be enough to be taken by the institution for the next 5 years, at least for 5 years, and it should be groomed and developed within your own resources, or maybe you can collaborate with some other agency to do research on that. And that depends on the field. I can't make a general prescription on that. If it is related to computer science, it will be related to some model which you require for the sake of applying some technology. Some technology which you have to think about, which can be taken as a germ, as a what you call as a minute form of an idea, which can be applied and developed into a major form. And that is why it is called incubation. So when you say a particular subject, this cannot be generally be used for all practices or for all subjects. That will depend on how far you are doing research in that area. So an incubation center for a given subject will be useful only if there is research that is going on in that particular area. Otherwise, it will be just a superficial kind of a thing. I'll tell you. Regarding e-cell, I think e-cell is related to entrepreneurship development cell. You can have lots of activity. Generally, commerce department can do a lot of work related to that. It can create lots of hands-on experience in various projects, small projects, and this can be marketed, and then the students can be given training in various projects. It can be related to maybe some designing, or maybe some crafting, maybe some food technology, etc. But that requires some expertise. You have to share that expertise with an external advisor, but that depends on how far. And again, this can be later on helping the students to start a small company or something. So that is what is generally the an e-cell can do. On entrepreneurship development cell can do. EDC in my state is called EDC. Incubation requires research, biotechnology research centers in chemistry, physics. For them, they have to have a particular idea which can be developed and groomed over a period of 5 years.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very enriching to hear from you. It was indeed a knowledgeable and interesting session. And we really incorporate your suggestions and best practices in our institute, sir. Thank you so much once again for joining us today. It is a moment of great honor and pride for me to take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks. to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. At the outset, on behalf of entire team of Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Sant Hirdaram Girls College, Bhopal, I wish to place my sincere gratitude to our today's keynote speaker, Dr. Murli Krishnan TR. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your deep knowledge about Criterion 4 on infrastructure and learning resources. I would like to thank all the dignitaries who were present with us today. I would like to express sincere appreciation and gratitude to the Research Foundation of India. I also like to express our gratitude to Dr. Ajay Jain, National Coordinator, Research Foundation of India, Dr. Gunjan Shukla, Event Coordinator, Research Foundation of India. We feel really privileged to have your supervision and backing with us all the times possible. Without you, all this would not be possible. I would like to thank our respected principal, Dr. Dalima Parvani, for always motivating to organize such thought-provoking lectures. Thank you, ma'am, for always being support for us. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to the entire organizing team of SHGC, especially IQAC members, for all their efforts they have put into making this program a successful venture. We are highly indebted to our most valued participants who have joined us in this program. Thank you, everyone. Tomorrow, on the occasion of Independence Day, there will be no lecture. We hope to see you on 16th August at 5:15 sharp PM. We will be having our 5th criteria, that is on student support and progression. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you all.